Good Friday morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Michelle Beck. Let's get to your headlines. A look at the Vatican this morning, where history is being made. For the first time ever, the Catholic Church has an American leader, Pope Leo XIV. We just got video in from the Pope's first Mass at the Sistine Chapel this morning. Take a listen.
But I want to repeat the words from the responsorial psalm. I will sing a new song to the Lord because he has done marvels. And indeed, not just with me, but with all of us, my brother cardinals, as we celebrate this morning, I invite you to recognize the marvels that the Lord has done.
You'll notice there those first words were in English. The stunning news of an American pope is prompting celebrations around the country. 69-year-old Robert Prevost was born in Chicago, and that is where we find our Alice Barr this morning.
Hi there, we're outside Holy Name Cathedral here in Chicago, where Mass throughout the morning is celebrating this native son who now belongs to the whole world. This morning, a son of Chicago, known as the City of Big Shoulders, waking up with the weight of the world. Pope Leo XIV, now the first American pope. Bells rang out in celebration at Chicago's Holy Name Cathedral.
It's a day of great excitement for Chicago, for the United States to have one of our own be elected as the Pope.
The 69-year-old, previously Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, was born in Chicago, raised in a suburb just south of the city, the youngest of three boys.
We've kind of known he was special, and we used to tease him about being Pope when he was 6 years old.
He earned his master's in divinity at the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, where those who knew him are taking in the news with disbelief and joy.
He's very warm, very inclusive, very intelligent.
Pope Francis elevated his now successor to be a cardinal, and many are reading into Pope Leo's first words from the Vatican about building bridges and being open to the world that he's likely to follow in Francis's footsteps, also sharing a connection to Latin America, having served for many years in Peru, multilingual and shaped by a global perspective.
Very excited. An American who's lived in Latin America. I never thought in my life I'd see an American Pope.
President Trump celebrating the news from the White House.
To have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor.
As the new Pope, chosen by his cardinal brothers and claimed by the city that raised him, now prepares to lead the Catholic world. This selection came as such a surprise because of the long-held belief that America has dominance in so many areas around the world, and the cardinals, therefore, would not want to invest that kind of spiritual authority in the United States as well. It's likely that Pope Leo's global perspective tempered that and landed him in this historic position. In Chicago, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Well, we know the new Pope's family was also stunned by the news. His brother, Louis Prevost, lives in Florida and had this to say after learning his own brother now leads the Catholic Church.
Try to say something coherently, and there's 19,000 other thoughts running through my brain. My brother's the Pope. Wow, I can't believe it. How can you express, which I don't have words for it yet, how to really express what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, so.
We're also tracking reaction here at home this morning. Devoted nuns at the Poor Clare Monastery of Sauk Rapids are reflecting on the election of Pope Leo XIV. Sisters Christiana and Mary Paul live a cloistered life at the monastery with minimal interactions with the outside world. As scenes of celebration erupted in St. Peter's Square and around the globe, the sisters expressed hope the new papacy would unify not only Catholics in the U.S., but also those around the world. Although they say he shares some qualities with Pope Francis, they say his leadership will be uniquely his own.
It's not a matter so much of following his footsteps or deviating from them. It's him listening to the Holy Spirit and acting under God.
Pointing to the first North American pope and someone who spent most of his career in Peru, the sisters say Leo's global perspective will help him bring peace to many around the world. We'll be following for any updates on the new pope today. Do stick with KARE 11 News now and KARE11.com for the very latest. A check of the markets this morning as U.S. trade officials prepare to head to the negotiating table with China. Trade leaders from both countries meeting this weekend in Switzerland, the first in-person meeting since the trade war began. And just this morning, President Trump saying on social media he believes decreasing tariffs on Chinese imports to 80%, down from 145%, quote, seems right. Right now, China is placing 125% tariffs on U.S. goods coming into its country. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who is leading the talks with China, says he does not expect a deal to come out of the meeting this weekend. Developing right now, the father of a girl who opened fire at a school in Madison is behind bars. Jeffrey Rupnow is facing 2 felony charges, including selling a weapon to someone under 18. His daughter, 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, opened fire inside the Abundant Life Christian School in December, killing a student, also killing a teacher before killing herself. Officials say the 2 guns found at the school were both registered to Jeffrey Rupnow. If convicted, he faces up to 18 years in jail. The controversial issue known as seclusion in schools is taking center stage at the state capitol. Seclusion is a practice where students with disabilities are kept in a separate room at school under an emergency situation with direct supervision. 2 years ago, the legislature banned seclusion for kids 3rd grade and younger, saying it was a harmful technique. But in this session, the Senate included a bipartisan amendment in its education bill, which carves out an exception to allow seclusion as long as the parents consent. Now, some are rallying against the proposal, while the DFL senator who offered the amendment defended it as a useful tool in limited circumstances.
We are reeling. This practice is a violation of human rights.
For students to whom it's even further traumatic or damaging, it shouldn't be used in those situations. These are decisions that need to be made with the IEP team, with the parents, with the school psychologist.
The House has not included the new seclusion language in its proposed education bill. After the House passes its version, it'll negotiate with the Senate to decide which amendments make the final bill. The Minnesota Timberwolves are feeling themselves this morning. They dominated the Golden State Warriors in Game 2 of their playoff series at Target Center, tying up the series at 1 apiece. Julius Randle leading the team with 24 points and 11 assists. Next, they head to San Francisco for Game 3. Tip-off is tomorrow night at 7:30. Well, despite the excitement for Minnesota sports, there is a bit of a cloud hanging over our arenas this morning. Newly obtained food safety data from the city of Minneapolis uncovered some issues. Ian Russell breaks down those findings.
With millions visiting Minneapolis stadiums and arenas every year, hundreds of thousands of meals and snacks are served at those events and games. But at US Bank Stadium, Target Field, and Target Center, where you get that food, has seen some issues. New data from the Minneapolis Health Department shows numerous health code violations at the 3 facilities over the past few years. Many of those were found during routine inspections. That includes things like unclean walls and floors at some shops at Target Center, broken coolers at US Bank Stadium, and black biofilm growing inside an ice machine at Target Field. It also includes multiple instances of rodent droppings being found at all 3 facilities since the start of 2023.
Some of the facility issues, not too surprising because they are very large.
We asked Amy Johnston to look at the data. She's a food safety educator at the University of Minnesota. She says some of these violations are easy to fix and were addressed immediately, like hand washing signs that needed to be replaced.
Comes to re-inspect and all of the issues were still there. That would be an area of concern, but that's not the case here. That's not what's happening.
Of course, some things, like the rodent droppings, are a concern, but she says these are large spaces with multiple entry points that are difficult to maintain. It's why Johnston's best advice is to just go somewhere else if you don't like what you see.
If you see something that you don't think is up to your level of safety, comfort, or standard, then choose to not eat there.
And we want to be clear that a lot of these issues were labeled as corrected on site, meaning they were fixed immediately. There were also discussions with staff to make sure they understood proper food practices and to get everything back in order. Stick with us. More news and weather are coming up after the break.